Well, that concludes this episode of the Paranormal Misfits. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest, make sure you subscribe to this podcast on whichever platform you're listening to on. And give me a follow on Instagram at Paranormal Misfit. If you have your own spooky paranormal story you'd like to share or want to hear about a particular lore, place, or whatnot, please feel free to drop me a DM in Instagram. And on that note, I will catch you all later at the next episode, my ghouls. Okay. So, we're going to talk about school number 4, which it went by a couple different names. Okay. So, first was Annie, is that Little or Lytle?
Annie Lytle.
Lytle? Okay.
That's what it looks like.
All right, so Annie Lytle Elementary School. Obviously, as they have said in this article here, it has seen better days. Let's see. The school was first opened in 1891, and it was operational until the 1960s when it was forced to close due to construction of the highway interchange. The highway cut the school off from the rest of the city, so it was shut down. The building was left to fall into despair and eventually became known as the Duval School as horror stories began to circulate. The building has also become haven for graffiti artists, and the colorful arts has added a splash of beauty to complement the dark and frightening interior. Today, the Duval School is known as one of the most haunted places in Jacksonville. The paranormal activity in the building is often attributed to what many may call psychic dust or a collective imprint of energetic school children. Those who enter Devil's School will see faint apparitions and shadows of children playing, laughing, and sitting in classrooms as if looking back in time. So, before, obviously, it was known as Devil's School. Let's see. They called it Riverside Park School in 1891, and it was a tiny wooden schoolhouse with a few rooms. As more people moved to the neighborhood, the school was expanded shortly after the school was declared a fire hazard and shut down. This was also a response to the Great Jacksonville Fire in 1901, which burned down a large portion of the city. So the building was rebuilt, but bigger and made of brick. It was the 4th public school building in Jacksonville and was originally known as Public School Number 4. It was later renamed as Annie, what did we say it was? Lytle? Annie Lytle Elementary in honor of the beloved former teacher and principal. The school was built with 4 large pillars as its entrance and featured a large auditorium. Didn't we see this on our drive to work?
Yeah.
Is that the one we see on our drive? Okay.
Yep.
Whenever you take the highway, because I don't take highway.
I always take the highway.
School was built with 4 large pillars at its entrance and featured a large auditorium. That's actually pretty good for if you consider like an elementary school, because my elementary school in Orange Park did not have an auditorium.
That auditorium is huge.
Like we used our lunchroom for any like I guess like award ceremonies or plays or stuff like that. We used our lunchroom, kind of like how we did in Lakeside. Remember Lakeside? They used the auditorium more so than they used. Well, we didn't have a. It's about damn time the dog slept on the fucking bed. Yeah.
Hey,
sorry.
Stay on top.
Sorry. Okay. The school. God dang. All right. So ADD or ADHD, whichever. School was built with 4 large pillars at its entrance and featured a large auditorium and a fireplace in the center of the cafeteria. The classrooms were all on the 2nd floor. The cafeteria, offices, and auditorium were on the 1st. So the school stayed open until the 1960s. The expansion of the interstate highway system, which obviously is what, like Fuller Warren to, is that 95? 10 to 95? 10, whatever.
Yeah.
That highway, right? So the expansion of the interstate highway put a major interchange directly in front of the school, isolating it from the rest of the neighborhood. Not only did the classrooms become very noisy from the sound of traffic, but the school became inaccessible. So Annie Lytle Elementary was shut down. And the building was then used as a storage facility for Duval Public Schools up until 1971, which afterwards they left it to rot and decay. So currently, the public school number 4, or Annie Lytle Elementary, has become a hangout for local teenagers looking for mischief. Graffiti artists flock to the abandoned buildings to practice their skills. And then this is where rumors began to swirl around about the school and why it was shut down. In 1995, a fire in the auditorium caused part of the roof to cave in, adding to the urban folklore. And then after that, that's where it became the Devil School. So in 2000, Jacksonville designated Annie Lytle as a historic landmark, obviously, because it was built technically in 1891, then rebuilt after the Great Fire in 1901.
Yeah.
A barbed wire fence was erected to keep out trespassers, and volunteers have began making improvements like painting over graffiti and replacing broken windows. So, I'm not going to go over all the spooky shit first. You're going to go over what you experienced in the school, because I've never been in the school. I know Will talked about going to the school a couple times in high school and then even after high school, and I think even when we took a couple ghost tours and had a couple drinks.
Right.
Talked about going to it. So why don't you give me what you have, and then I'll tell you about the urban legends and the myths and the different things people have amounted it to.
So I think I was probably 15 or 16 whenever I went, and we pretty much there was a sheet of plywood that was covering the front entrance, and you could just kind of ply it off and help your buddies sneak in. But we kind of wandered around, and of course at the time, I smoked back then whenever I was younger. We went up to the second floor, which almost looked like at nighttime it looked like a garden area because it was like overgrown and it's just run down. So we went up there and of course smoked and goofed off and kind of wandered, and it looked like some people had been squatting in some of the rooms downstairs, but in the classroom there was some rooms that you could peek into and see, and it looked run down. All the desks I remember were there, and but there was no real reason to go in there. The auditorium was huge, although you could see that sections of the ceiling had fallen down. Um, and in one of the downstairs rooms, there was a hole in the floor, and there was a ladder down in that hole. Well, I was dared to go down into the hole, and I did.
Some white people.
Yeah, well, me doing what I was doing and chasing tail and getting high at the time. Of course, I'm going down. Well, the people that I was with, I didn't know them for very long, but they pulled the ladder up on me. And so I was left to wander, and they used to say that there was a boiler room down there.
Mm-hmm.
And I got lost pretty quick and then found my way back. You couldn't see anything, it was pitch black.
But
And
what's the deal with the boiler room though?
I don't know anything actually about the boiler room.
Oh.
They were just like, "Hey, don't go down there. Don't go messing around with the boiler room." And like they used to say that it was haunted, but like I don't know if my mind was just playing tricks on me. Of course, I was hearing noises and stuff down there,
Yeah, like rats and shit.
but we never went back. I wasn't going back. We found like I said, I think somebody was squatting there because we found like a pile of clothes and stuff in one of the downstairs room, and the graffiti is all over the place, and it was sprayed on walls that are just peeling. So you had graffiti that's peeling off the wall, and like everything's just coming apart in that school. And it looked like it was a massive, massive school.
For an elementary school, it sounded like it.
Oh yeah, it's huge. But that was my experience.
But they didn't tell you any like what you were looking for while you were like getting high or.
No, we were literally there to go get drunk, get high. It was neat. I mean,
But what was neat about being in a dilapidated like fucking like building? I don't know. I'm just asking. I was not that good, so.
We we had all snuck out and
Oh.
it's down the street from.
All right. So
Yeah.
tell me if you've heard these urban legends then.
Okay.
Which is funny, right? Cuz like I was born here and you were like transported here essentially, right? Cuz you're from Tennessee and I'm actually from here.
Right.
But anyways, all right. So the urban legends and myths surrounding the Duval School, which is that what you know it as? Like
Nope.
just school number 4?
I've never heard Devil School. It was only school number 4.
Okay. So the first one is called The Infamous Story of the Cannibal Principal. Legend has it that a principal would call bad students up to his office for a chat, after which they would never return. Officially, the children were suspended or expelled. Some students suspected that some of the students were being consumed by their evil headmaster. The principal had a closet which he converted into a meat locker. Was there a meat locker?
No, we didn't see any meat lockers
Okay.
there. But then again, we didn't know the principal's office either.
I think you would know if you ran into a meat locker though.
Yeah.
The principal had a closet which he converted into a meat locker where children were hung on spikes until he could eat them. According to legends, multiple faculty members were in on the terror, and the principal was the ringleader. The story was never corroborated, but stories like these just don't come out of nowhere, which is, kind of true. The second story, which I think I've heard about this one. If not, it was definitely turned into a horror flick. That's where I'm at with this one. So the school's janitor was evil too. Legend has it that the janitor would kidnap unsuspecting kids and bring them down to the boiler room and boil them alive, which makes sense because, they told you about the boiler room.
Right.
Um, Obviously, because what else do we use a boiler room for? After so many victims, one of the students escaped, causing some of the equipment to malfunction. In the ensuing struggle, which led to an explosion, which resulted in a fire, killing multiple students, and the school had to temporarily be shut down. When classes came back in session, the school was haunted by the ghosts of the dead children. Now, this doesn't give a time period, and we have to remember that, like, 1901 was the Great Fire.
Now, I can tell you there's a lot of debris and a lot of brick downstairs. Like, I could see a little bit from the light from the hole,
Uh huh.
and finding my way back to that hole and tripping over everything was tough.
But did you see anything?
Not really. No, you can't.
I mean, you gotta think about it. Were you seeing like not Josh, but what's his name? Zach Bagans kind of shit?
No, no. And there's, as far as I know, there was no demon. It was scary,
Not like a
scary as
demon, just
hell.
like shadow people though. I mean,
No, it's pitch black. You can't see anything.
oh, well,
And I was scurrying about down in.
I
Oh
would
yeah,
not
no,
fuck
I.
around in a boiler room. Why? Why? Never mind. You already answered that question.
Yep.
Anyway, when classes came back in session, the school was haunted by the ghosts of the dead children. Some of the teachers were so frightened that they quit, unable to cope with the tragedy. While the story of the boiler room tormentor and the exploding furnace are often combined, many say there are two separate incidences where the explosion is unrelated to the evil janitor. Others say an attempted escape caused the explosion. Unsurprisingly, oh man, I forgot about that. Unsurprisingly, this is very similar to a scene in Nightmare on Elm Street. All right, so we have one more story of another evil principal, but this time he outright murdered the students. According to the legends, the principal had been going mad from the stress. Man, this is before now. The stress of the job was.
Oh, if they stressed then, you, oh my goodness.
um, so had been going mad from the stress of the job and was tired of constantly dealing with unruly children and went completely berserk. He went on a rampage throughout the school, murdering children via blunt force trauma, leaving trails of blood in his wake. So the most recent urban legend, let's see when this is written though, before I say like most recent. So doesn't say. Down below. Course not. Nowhere? No, I guess not. Okay. I'll have to look this up. Because it's Old City Ghosts, which is the place out in St. Augustine, right?
Okay.
Okay. So, the most recent urban legend is that the satanic rituals that took place on the school grounds. Some say the rituals began while the school was still open, having been started by members of the faculty. Excuse you, sir. I hope that catnip tea was good.
Our dog just really groaned
Oh
loud,
my
and
god.
he's some kind of way. He's a Madonna. Was it? Is what
Prima donna.
prima donna? There you
Prima
go.
donna. Dude,
Lay down.
come lay down. Just lay down. Find you a seat. Lay on the seat. Lay down.
Stay a while and listen.
I know. Or do you have to go potty? Do you need to go potty? Or do you need to lay down? Lay down.
Yes.
Have a seat. Okay. Do you not like the scary stories?
So the latest story.
All right, fine. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Rituals. Okay. Some say the rituals began while the school was still open, having been started by the members of the faculty, and continued to use the building for rituals after it was condemned. Others say the rituals began more recently, after long after the school was shut down. Either way, inside of the building is covered in graffiti. Much of it is satanic in nature. What is satanic in nature?
There was some like upside down the pentagrams. There was um some stuff you can't just wasn't legible. It wasn't English.
Oh, okay. Well, it said there
So
was upside down crosses and pentagrams can be seen in all of the building. It is rumored that the fire that burned down the auditorium was created by Satanists.
yeah, I don't.
Yeah?
I do think the rituals would be more recent. I believe that there's been rituals there, but I don't think that they would be older while the school was open, just because like how unacceptable that would be for the times. But nowadays, you never know what people would do.
Okay. So, looks like, let's see. Um, Same thing if you go on Wikipedia. Attempts. Oh, here we go. Because of the rumors, trespassers have often visited the schoolhouse in attempts to see a ghost or a spirit that haunts the abandoned building. And that has become a problem for the Annie Lytle Preservation Group, the property's sole protector dedicated to saving the building. The group stated that the boiler room never exploded and killed kids. The janitor never killed kids. It's all nonsense. Never happened. The group also warned the people in a Facebook post in 2019 that trespassers will be caught and arrested if on property, and emphasized its close partnership with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. So far, 10 people have been arrested. And that's from Wikipedia. And then I think I found like 4 websites.
I
I
tell
think
you
the
what,
pictures look really cool though.
I can tell you just firsthand,
Mm-hmm.
like as soon as you step in the door for that school, because we had flashlights with us, but as soon as you stepped in, you knew that that place wasn't a safe place to be. It didn't. It did not even look safe to hold your weight to step on some of the floor spaces.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, see
Right here?
that courtyard
Yeah.
type area is where we were smoking out at.
The fact that an elementary school has a courtyard though,
Yeah, that's upstairs.
that's insane.
Yeah,
Let's see. Some who have visited the site say that a huge tree grows somewhere in the depths of the abandoned school. Through photos of the site today show no real um, arboreal inhabitant, giving the sheer number of spectators said to have inhabit the decaying halls. There's a chance there is some sort of ghost tree that you might bump into if you're walking in the hallways at night. Is that what it looks like inside?
let me see.
Yeah. Because you got like the urban explorers that still kind of get inside during the day
We,
to
I
be able to
mean,
take the cool pictures.
yes, but it wasn't that. Like everything we saw was really dark and shadowy,
Oh, what about
so
that?
it didn't look as yes,
Yeah?
yep.
No?
That looks familiar.
Okay.
Like I don't remember firsthand seeing that particular hallway, but I'm telling you, at night that place is not a place you want to be.
Mm.
It gives you the heebie-jeebies. You do feel like you're being watched. Um,
Well, I think what's funny, right, is that like we have this whole preservation that like bought it out in like 1990s, like the late 1990s. We're now like well into the late 2020s, mid 2020s, really. But still, like you're talking about 1999. We're now in 2024, and they still haven't done much to like do any preservation on it,
I'm not gonna lie. I used to say that they should just demolish it.
right?
I used to say that I always felt like there was like evil in that place, but honestly, looking back, I'm not 100. It's been so long.
We should go in it.
No,
What?
I won't go back.
Why?
I'm not going back there.
So the same guy who reconstructed it, right? Because it was in 1980, 1891, became a fire hazard. 1915, Duval County voters passed a 1915, they passed a $1 million bond to build more than a dozen of new brick schools, built by the Florida Engineer and Construction Company. So the new school actually didn't get built until 1970 and was designed by Rutledge Holmes along with William B. Eitner,
Right.
who acted as the consultant. And Holmes, was the architect of, he was from Charleston, and some of his works include the the old Duval County Courthouse Annex
Hmm.
and the Seminole Club, which I think is still in Riverside,
Yeah.
right? Isn't
I
that where
think
that's
so.
at? Let's see. He was hired to design two other public schools for the county, those being Grand Park and Woodstock School. Oh, he killed himself by suicide
Well, that's not
in
good.
1929. Oh God.
That's
Okay.
very reassuring.
Right?
Goodness.
So it wasn't called Annie Lytle until the 1950s, which was the teacher and the principal.
Right.
Um, it had another $250,000 construction by 1918.
You know what this sounds like? This sounds like the city has sunk so much money into it
That doesn't want to
that
let
they
it go.
just don't want to call it quits, which means they should sink more money into it and reconvert it into a facility for the homeless.
I agree.
That would be cool.
So in the 1950s, the construction of I-95 and I-10 isolated the school, leading to its closure in 1960, which makes sense because you can see it directly from the high school
Yeah.
or from the highway.
Yep.
Many locals claimed it was rented out to a Catholic school, but there was no records to confirm it.
They would rent it out to a Catholic like school deal.
They thought about making condominiums of it, which, I mean, to be fair, if you think about it, there's been some in Riverside that were changed into condos.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not the worst idea.
let's see. Some of the places have converted into senior living facility. They thought about doing that to that school, except for it basically never happened.
Yeah.
Let's see. 1995 was when the fire happened. Well, at least when they documented a fire, I guess. There was another fire in 2012.
So what I'm hearing is that place wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, right? So the one about the janitor, well, nope, still same thing. One kid escaped blowing up the boiler. Oh, the kid managed to help blow up the boiler in the process of escaping.
The janitor one's more realistic sounding than the principal one.
Oh, the one with the cannibal? I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, I mean the pictures look really cool though. Like if you look at it, it doesn't actually look like an elementary school. It looks like,
It looked like a high school.
yeah.
Oh yeah. No, when you told me it was in the elementary school, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised because we didn't do any research on the place. We just went in.
You know, to be fair though, it kind of looks like all those asylums and stuff they kind of like visit like
Yep.
up north because it's so massive.
Yep.
Like,
And the classrooms, they're big.
Yeah, I mean, even the hallways are really big, especially if you think for like elementary.
Yeah.
It's 2 stories, and they had like a whole courtyard on the second story.
That courtyard was pretty surprising to find and run into. Like, and the courtyard is actually serene.
Yeah, I was
It's
looking
not
like this right
creepy.
here.
Yeah. Even
It
at night, it's not creepy.
it kind of looks like what is that show you watched? The Last of Us.
Yeah, it does. That is
It does,
very much something that you would find in The Last of Us.
which is kind of cool. I mean, I don't know. I've never been. I was hoping you'd have something, but
What
sounds like
something?
your own
Something?
paranoia.
Yeah, that's. I don't. I mean, I heard things, but I'll never. There's no telling what I heard. Could have been rats in the basement. You'd hear
Birds.
stuff in the
Could have
rooms.
been people.
We heard stuff in the auditorium. Like that place, when it's like you and you stop and stand still, all the noises kind of creep back up after a minute or two.
Man, that's like our animals. No, I'm just
Yeah,
playing.
no,
It really is. My paranoia. No.
no, yeah, that place did have my paranoia going, especially after I smoked. So
Oh,
I was never the best smoker, so
you sure weren't.
that's why I quit.
Well, that's why you don't take the gummies either. That's why you only leave it up to me. You're just playing.
I'll stick to the melatonin.
Slightly. Alright, so that's all that I think I have. I mean, it's pretty cool though. I always wondered about school number 4. I always thought it was somewhere else though. I don't know why. I always thought it was the one in Riverside that got actually converted to the condominiums that are over off of a. It's not Park. The road that's right.
It's like
The road that goes between it's not King Street and Park Street. Well, it's kind of closer to um the side closer to Metro than it was um because they used it. You know what was funny was one of the old schools that we had in Riverside was actually used in Lonely Hearts, the movie with John Travolta about the true crime killers with Selma Hayek and Jared Leto, where they were killing wealthy women. But that's what I always thought it got converted to, because
nice.
it's the same school that they use for teachers
Mm,
during right before the school year starts. That's usually where they put all the supplies where teachers come and pick it up
yeah.
before they tell all of the parents of what other school supplies they need, which is fine because you know
No, it's like a minute and a half away from around the corner from Five Points, next to that dog park.
is that the one I'm thinking
Yeah,
of? Okay.
that's it.
Because in San Marco, also they converted an old school into a bunch of condominiums because I delivered pizza to those.
Yeah, no,
But
it's
but that's what it reminds me of.
right.
That's where I thought they were because those were fucking massive ass schools too. And I'm like, God dang. And then they have to build onto Lee or
Florida.
Riverside. They have to build onto Riverside High and make it like twice as large as what it was when we were there.
Oh, that place is crazy.
That place is like a college now.
And then you see the kids with their like slippers on, like texting and walking, and it's like, man, we had just gotten cell phones.
And just got hit in the back of the head for wearing flip flops
Right.
and went into ISSP.
Like, I wouldn't have survived going down the hall looking like that. It would have been like, call your parent, go home.
But yeah, I'm very surprised that more hasn't been done to that school though, considering they actually had a preservation
Yeah.
that saved it. So
No, they should do something.
yeah. Okie dokie. Well, that's it for this episode.
Hey, thanks for having me as a guest.
Are you a guest? Because you just live here.
Some days.
Okay. Hello, all my paranormal misfits, and welcome to the Paranormal Misfit podcast. I am your host, Chrissy, and I'm here to talk about all things paranormal and spooky. From experience that I or someone else has had, to the shows, movies, and books, to lores and legends, and to the places known for the paranormal. I'm going to talk about all of it. I myself am a believer with a healthy set of skepticism. You'll hear my thoughts and feelings about different topics revolving around the paranormal, so cozy up with your favorite beverage of choice and listen along.